It is 8 p.m. and it's time to retrain your brain and to increase your peace in this little show we call The Golden Pause. My name is Lucas and I'm so excited that you're here. It's episode 5 of this show, and today we're going to be talking about one of the key things that gets in the way of people being happy. But just a little bit about the show. In the Golden Pause, we talk about consciousness, happiness, creating change, and a whole lot more through the filter of hypnosis with me, clinical hypnotherapist. And our goal is to help you have more agency, more power, and more freedom in your life. And as part of that, at the end of each show, we have something that we call the Golden Reset, which is a guided meditation that's designed to train your body to make you a calmer, happier you. Who wouldn't want that? So I'm excited that you're here, whether you're listening on a recording or whether you're watching live. So good to have you here. So let's get into episode 5 and let's talk about the tyranny of dichotomy. What does that mean? In our society, we are rapidly being pushed and very very strongly being pushed into seeing the world in dichotomies, like in two sides, thinking of life as two opposing concepts or possibilities, when in reality there's a lot more possibilities that we could consider, but we're being pushed into dichotomies, left or right. You're either with them or you're with us. You're either right or wrong. This thing is either true or false. Either the blue pill or the red pill. Dichotomies are everywhere. And the reason that dichotomies are being pushed and that they have a role in our lives is that, in essence, they help us or they are useful to guide behavior. So if you want to help someone move forward and not be stuck with the sheer volume of possibilities that there actually is in life, you can use dichotomies to kind of limit the range of options. So as a simple example, in a hypnotherapy session, someone might say, well, you might consider stopping smoking this week or next week. So the stopping smoking, that option hasn't been taken away. Like, they will stop smoking. It just becomes whether it's this week or the next. Recently in our lives, when whole governments were trying to push a particular needle, let's call it that, for the algorithm to not suppress us, you either became someone who took the needle or you were an anti-needler, when in reality there's a whole gamut of possibilities of thought, of diverse ideas and reasonings for why someone might make their choice, whichever one that is. But when there is forces of power presenting like a dichotomy, two options, that's a time to go, hold on, why am I only being given two choices? When we all know in life there's a whole range of possibilities. And in essence, what the tyranny of dichotomy does is it robs us of the possibilities in life. It forces us to live in a very narrow room of possibility, when in reality we are free to live life in exploring all possibilities. When it comes to healing, we need to be aware and we need to start thinking of possibilities. Sometimes when we want to help someone start to create change in their life through hypnosis, we start to question the possibilities for the behavior that they're wanting to change. So in the example of smoking, we start to question when they might smoke, and to see the possibilities of smoking across a whole gamut of time. Or we might question how much they might smoke. And what that does is it creates the possibility of change to enter into their mind and into their subconscious, where previously they might have very set routines about how they go about a habit. And so introducing a slight change, even if it's not stopping the behavior that they may want to stop, that little introduction of possibility opens the door for greater change. So that's why thinking in terms of possibilities is really important. Dichotomies also stop us asking questions. You're one of them, you might hear someone say. That's when you know you're being forced into a dichotomy. That because you might be sharing an opinion on a topic that person sees it either one way or the other, when in reality there's many different ways. And like I said, dichotomies blind us to possibilities. There's a whole range of what's possible in your life. You know, maybe growing up you were given a choice of a couple of options of what you could be, what you could do for work. Maybe in the work that you're in now, you might think, I can either keep doing this or advance to the next level, when actually there's a whole range of possibilities in your life. And so thinking in terms of possibilities is where freedom is found, and it's so critical. And that's why this dichotomy, this tyranny of dichotomies, is such a thief of happiness and something to look out for. So let's talk about a little bit about the world of possibilities before we go into the golden reset. So when you think of the world of possibilities, that is the escape of the tyranny. That's the escape of thinking of one or two options in your life. And so how you can start to break out of that tyranny is to start thinking, instead of this is true or false, you can start to think in terms of percentages. You can start to think in terms of what's the likelihood of this option and what are the other options that we can attribute some kind of percentage likelihood that what I'm looking at is true or is the right option, or so thinking in terms of percentages helps you to stop thinking in terms of one way or the other. So you might think, okay, what would we do on the weekend? And you can start to think, what would my wife or husband like? And if you've been in a relationship for a long time, you might think, oh, they don't like this or they like that, and that kind of becomes the restriction of possibility. And so you can start to wonder, what's the likelihood that they may like to do option A? And then what's the likelihood of option B? And what's the likelihood of option C? And whenever you find yourself in just considering 2 or 3 options, recognizing, oh, hold on, I'm in this tyranny of dichotomies, and I can think of other possibilities. And so that's what I would encourage you to do. I would encourage you, when you're watching the news, to think, okay, instead of thinking, is that true or false? Assign a percentage likelihood of whether that might be right or otherwise. Or you can also assign a percentage of how much is that covering of the whole big picture, so that we are not deceived. Okay, so let's now enjoy the golden reset, because that's the essence of what I wanted to share today. And so I always like to put a little background music, and this can be the best part of your day, because we're training your body to become a calmer, happier you. And because it is like a guided meditation, we if you're driving or if you're using any kind of machinery, we say it's best to pause. But if you're not doing that and you'd like to join us, I would love that. So why don't we get comfortable, and when you get comfortable, it's interesting to consider what part of your body makes you the most comfortable. Sometimes it's your back, sometimes it's relaxing your shoulders, sometimes it's relaxing your face. There's many possibilities. And as you consider that, it's a great idea to start with a deep breath. And a breath is one of the most wonderful gifts that we've received in this life, because it's life itself. It's the first gift we received when we were born. It will be with us all the way until we leave this earth. And so, taking a deep breath and really feeling how it expands us inside, feeling that and holding it and letting it go. That's the start of a golden reset, where our bodies are learning, I can let go. I can pause. And it's like the breath becomes the leader, and our minds follow. Sometimes our minds are are thinking a lot. They think of one thing, then think of another, then think of another. But when we take a deep breath and really pay attention to that breath, what it does to our bodies, that breath becomes the leader. It becomes the leader in our lives. And peace becomes the status quo. And yes, our minds might do all kinds of things, but they will follow. They will catch up to the breath. And so as you take a deep breath in and you allow that to settle you, it's good to know that your body is learning. It's good to know that it's not your mind that's got to learn. Your body is the one that's becoming calmer and more peaceful. And that breath leads the way. And you can take a deep breath and have a golden reset anytime you need it. It's within you. Sometimes people think meditating means having no thoughts. But all it means is really enjoying that breath and really getting absorbed in that breath. And you may notice your shoulders are dropping, the muscles on your face, they're that little bit more relaxed. And it's good to know that you can enter this state anytime you need it. Anytime you need it. Your body is learning and remembering. And it's so enjoyable to pause. It's like everything around can just go into the background. The sounds might get a little muffled. And your breath leads. And it's always such a pleasure to do this with you, to remember it's yours, to know that our bodies are learning and we don't have to do anything but enjoy this. And so as you take one last deep breath and squeeze the last little bit of enjoyment from it, I invite you to Just allow this to settle in over you. And to realize that you are a little bit more peaceful. And that's all it takes. Just a little bit more than before. And so, as those words just do what words do, I now invite you to return to your attention, to be fully present where you are. But as you return to being present, the peace stays with you. Notice where the peace is staying with you. Some of you might feel it in your stomachs. Some might feel it in your throat or in your chest. And some might feel it in your head. But the reset has done its work. And so I thank you for being part of the Golden Reset. And I thank you for being part of the show. If you've got any questions, any thoughts, please feel free to leave a comment. If this is of use for you, help to you, we go live every Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's on the east coast of Australia, so whatever the time is in Sydney, that's the time to look up on the internet. And I just would encourage you to subscribe, to like, all the things. And I just wish you a great rest of the week and a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you again. That's the end of the show. Have a good one.